I'm delighted to say we've been joined by Charlie Kaufman and Duke Johnson, the directors of the Oscar-nominated animation Anomalisa. Charlie and Duke, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you, gents?
Doing well, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve, for coming in. Congratulations on the Oscar nomination.
Thank you.
Did you expect to get the actual award? Did you think Inside Out's going to get it? How was your...
We thought Inside Out was going to get it.
We pretty much knew.
Especially when the category was introduced by Buzz Lightyear and
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, I mean, they've been winning. We've been up against them for a lot of things, and they were winning everything. So, and I think Pixar has never lost a year that they were nominated. I think they won 7 times. Yeah, they've been up 7 times. They won 7 times. So, yeah.
Did you like Inside Out? Because I have to confess I did. I loved it.
Duke, you want to feel that one?
I'm a fan of Pixar in general. I didn't. This one didn't. It wasn't a standout for me.
Okay, what's your favorite Pixar?
I like Finding Nemo a lot.
Cool.
Okay, so you're still... Anyway, an Oscar nomination for your animation, given how long this story has been, is still an extraordinary achievement. Tell us the story of what we see on the screen. Tell us the story about the movie.
Like what the story is of the film, or the story of making the film?
We're going to do both, and we can do it in any order that you like.
Well, the story of making the film, I can say Charlie did it as a play, a performance piece of audio in 2005. Do you want to tell that story? Actually,
I mean, it was what we call a sound play. We actually did them in London at the Royal Festival Hall. Carter Burwell did the music. Coen Brothers wrote one, and I wrote one, and we performed those in New York and London. And then I wanted to go to Los Angeles with it, and the Coens couldn't, so I wrote a second one. And that was Anomalisa, and we performed that at Royce Hall in Los Angeles. And
it essentially was like a radio play, wasn't it?
Well, it was a radio play, but it was staged. I mean, we weren't calling them radio plays because it wasn't for the radio. It was on stage with a Foley artist, with musicians, and Carter conducting. The actors were reading the scripts, and it was designed to be seen, but what you were seeing was not what you were hearing. Whereas a radio play is designed not to be seen. There was a disconnect between what you were seeing and what you were hearing. That was part of the performance.
Okay, so we'll just hold that story. If we came along to that sound play, what was the story that we saw told?
It's about a man who is kind of a celebrity in the field of customer service, and he's written a book, and he's coming to Cincinnati to a convention of customer service representatives to deliver a speech. And he meets a woman there, and they embark on a kind of an affair. And it takes place over a weekend.
Okay. And why customer service, just out of interest?
I mean, who knows why I do anything? I really don't know. I spent a lot of time working in customer service when I was young, so probably it was a thing that I felt like I could know and write about with some authority.
Okay, so when that sound play finished, did you kind of put that away and think, okay, I've done that, that was an interesting story, and I'm forgetting and I'm moving on?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't forgetting it. It was what it was. I didn't want it to be anything else. It was specifically designed to be this. And so, yeah, I moved on.
So then I think, Duke, you pick up the story here because you got a copy of the script. Tell us about the jump from that to making an animation.
Yeah, so I was working at a studio in Burbank called Starburns Industries, which was founded by a man named Dino Stamatopoulos, who Charlie knows because they used to work together on the Dana Carvey show back in the day. And Dino was in the audience of that stage performance and saw it and was a fan and had asked Charlie for a copy of the script just to read for his own enjoyment. Flash forward, this is 2011, and we're looking for something to produce next at the animation studio, and Dino mentioned that he had a copy of the script, and we had often talked over the years about wanting to explore more adult stories in this medium of stop motion, and so this seemed like a great opportunity to do that. I read the script, loved it, and we agreed that Dino should approach Charlie with the idea of producing it as a stop motion film, and we met with Charlie. Charlie said, if you can raise the money to do it, then we'll do it. And then we went off and did a Kickstarter.
And what did you think, Charlie, when the idea of it being slow-mo the whole point of the animation when the idea comes to you? What's your reaction?
My reaction is it's 2011. I haven't been able to get anything made since 2008, and I've been trying. And any opportunity that seems possible, potential opportunity, I would sort of take. So I didn't think it was going to happen, but I said, try to raise the money, expecting that they wouldn't, and then they did.
Just explain the raising of the money, because I think that, as far as I know, using Kickstarter to fund a movie is still pretty novel.
Yeah, well, that's what we decided to do at Starburns, kind of independently of Charlie. So it was like we had that meeting, and Charlie's like, "Well, yeah, we'll talk about this being a real thing if you can get the money." And so it was up to us to go try to find the money. And Kickstarter was very new at the time, and somebody mentioned it to us as a possibility to sort of get money and be able to work autonomously and make something without, the influence of a studio system or something like that. So we did it, and it ended up being very successful for us in the sense that it was the highest funded film of any kind up to that point. It's since been the record's been crashed, but we raised $406,000, and it was enough to get us started. And it also got the attention of a man named Keith Calder, who has a company called Snoot Films, and he came on to finance the rest of the film.
We'll play you a clip and then discuss it more. So you're going to hear the motivational speaker Charlie was talking about, Michael Stone, played by David Thewlis. And you're going to hear this. He's captivated by a voice that he overhears in the hallway. He's desperate to find out who the voice belongs to. He goes door to door through the hotel until he finds Lisa. This is played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, who has come to watch his talk with her friend Emily, played by Tom Noonan here.
Hi. Oh, my God. It's you.
Hi, I'm sorry to bother you.
No, not at all. Do you want to come in? Or?
I was just looking for someone. I think I've got the wrong...
Who's there, Em?
It's Mr. Stone. Michael Stone.
Really? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Hello? Oh, do I look awful? I was just taking my makeup off. Oh, my God. Ugh, don't look at me.
Hello? No, you look lovely.
I can't believe you're in our room. We came here from Akron just to hear you speak. Oh, my God. Please don't look at me.
Well, I'm certainly very flattered.
You can look at me.
Emily.
David Thewlis, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Tom Noonan. Charlie, is that the original? They're the cast in the movie. That's the original cast that you had way back when?
Yes.
Why did you and going back to the original sound play, you chose those three actors for what reason?
I love those three actors, so I chose those three actors. I mean, I asked them and they said yes. The other play I did was with Meryl Streep and Hope Davis and Peter Dinklage for the same reason. I just wanted to work with people I wanted to work with. So
many years later, when they get a call saying we're doing it again as an animation, they must have forgotten all about it, or they must have thought, wow, we're going to do this. This is fantastic.
I don't think they forgot about it. Jennifer loved doing this play. I mean, I think David and Tom did as well, but I mean, Jennifer loved it to the point where she wanted to continue doing it. We only got to do 2 performances. So she was kind of really thrilled to revisit it. And, David and Tom were happy to come back. They didn't forget it. We had a day of rehearsal after however many years it was, and we recorded it, and it worked out really well. 2 days of recording.
Can you just explain the process whereby you put this together and what it was like and what the set in inverted commas was like, just how you pieced together a movie like Anomalisa? Well,
we had 18 stages in a big warehouse in Burbank, and each stage had a set in it. The scale of the puppets and the world is 1/6 scale. So the character of Michael is 12 inches tall, which is the equivalent of 6 feet tall in this world, and everything is sort of proportionate to him. So basically we had 13 animators, 18 stages, and animators are, moving these puppets 1 frame at a time with a goal of shooting 2 seconds of animation per animator per day.
And what cameras are you using to do it? Because I mean, I've seen stuff with animation being shot with stills cameras. Are you using digital cameras or?
Yeah, it is Canon DSLR cameras with Nikon lenses, but it's still frames because the resolution is 5K for a still image, because it's actually nothing moves in the movie. It's just a series of static images creating the illusion of movement over time.
Yeah. And what's the particular challenge of doing, because there are a lot of people still doing stop motion, which for a long time was kind of considered to be, an art form that was falling away. What is it particularly about it that you like? What is it that attracts you?
Well, we've talked about this a lot and what it brings to this film, and there's something unique about stop motion when compared to other forms of animation in that it exists in real three-dimensional space and time, and you're aware of that as if you were watching it. And you can also, it's by nature imperfect because it's not controlled by computers or any sort of system. It's people's hands reaching in and manipulating these objects, and therefore the movement and the performance is imbued with an awareness that people are controlling these things, and you can literally see it in the imperfections of their movements.
So are there people to whose work you look for inspiration? I mean, do you look back to the history of stop motion? Who are the people whose work you like?
I mean, yes, there's lots of people that I like and admire. I mean, a lot of, Eastern European animators, and, you have Svenkmeyer and Yuri Barta and, and modern day animators like Don Hertzfeld, who we've gotten to know over the tour of this film, and we really love his stuff. But we also, particularly for this film, it was more about just telling this story and kind of approaching animation in a new way, not so much drawing from other influences. And we talked a lot about live action films and paintings and art references and things like that. One
of the things that's uncanny about the movement in the film is that, particularly when we have the main character when he's in the hotel room on his own, there are things that he does that are done with such fluidity that I almost thought at one point, actually, what you've done is you've shot that live action, then you've gone back and matched it up frame for him, particularly when he's in the bathroom and that sort of thing. The naturalness of the movement is quite extraordinary. But it's interesting because you're talking about it having a deliberate, obviously a deliberate artifice. So those two things are playing against each other. And there's a really uncanny thing that happens when you're seeing something that you know to be a creation and an artifice, and yet it's so much on the line of being absolutely how you would expect it to be in live action. And that produces an uncanniness, which I like.
Cool. And we didn't, and just to be clear, we didn't do that, by the way.
No, I know you didn't. No, I know.
But some people have made that mistake. So, I take that as a compliment.
Charlie, can you describe what these characters look like? Because that's one of the. I think people will go and see this movie and they'll spend quite a long time studying these puppets that they're looking at. Can you explain the look that you've gone for?
Well, they're kind of naturalistic. I mean, this is a movie for adults, and we were trying to create a look that was not cute. They have, they have specific features. They've got paunchy bodies. They've got, they're based on real people. The character of Michael is based on Duke's ex-brother-in-law, who we photographed and then had a sculptor sculpt, and Lisa's based on someone that was spotted at a restaurant in Los Angeles. And so they're very specific looking characters. They have their faces function with something called replacement animation. So there's their foreheads come off and their lower faces come off, and they're replaced by many different versions of that. And that's how the illusion of movement and expression changes occurs in mouth movements. And normally when that technique is used, the seams are painted out in post-production, but we left them in because we wanted it to be clear that it's stop-motion animation. We didn't want to disguise that fact.
What did your ex-brother-in-law, is that right, ex-brother, what did he make of the way he was portrayed on screen?
He kind of thinks he's a movie star now. He asked me early on if he was going to be recognized on the street, if he was going to have to walk around incognito, but yeah, I think he loves it.
Because the character of Michael Stone must be the least motivated, most motivational speaker of all time. Anyway, David Thewlis's voice, absolutely perfect for that. I wonder, Charlie, does the fact that we're having the story told by puppets, does it change the story in any way? Does it feel like a different story?
I mean, it adds another element to it. It adds a quality to it that I think, you can't discount. And because we knew we were making it this way, we altered what the thing was going to be so that it felt like it was reflecting the puppets and the puppetry. There's some story elements that were added that directly referred to them being puppets.
You talked about having worked in you said writing about what you know about and worked in that area. And one of the things that's strange about Anomalisa is that its central character is very there's a lot of bitterness in him, and during the course of the movie it never sort of pleads for our sympathy for him. He is portrayed, I think, fairly unsympathetically, although I think that's deliberate. How do you feel about him as a central character? I mean, do you find him difficult, awkward, or do you find him sympathetic? Because I thought he was quite harsh.
When I write subjectively. I write from the point of view of the character that I'm writing. I wrote Michael from that point of view. I feel about Michael when I'm writing Michael as Michael feels about Michael. So I feel sad for him the way Michael feels sad for himself, and I feel sympathy for him the way he feels it for himself. And I feel his frustration. And I don't think, I mean, I've certainly, heard from people what you said, and that's a reaction that a lot of people have. But that doesn't concern me. I'm not thinking about what is the audience going to think when I write something. I'm trying to think of how to make something true. And so that's the way I try to do it.
And can you describe the idea of the way in which the voices that we hear, that there is one central voice that is crucially different to the others, that we only hear like a momentary break in what is otherwise a sort of, well, you explain it. You'll explain it better.
I mean, this movie is about a man who can't make connections to people. When I did it as essentially an audio play, I was doing it with voices. I was trying to figure out a way to express that. I'd read about something called the Fragoli delusion, which is the belief that everyone else in the world is the same person. And I thought metaphorically that was interesting for the character of Michael. So I cast one actor to play everybody in the movie except for Michael and the one other person who he finds. So that's the.
And there is again, without wishing to give things away, there is hearing the other voice for the first time in the film is like a breath of. He says there's something magical about your voice, but I think the whole audience will feel the same way. Suddenly hearing this other voice is really quite a remarkable breakthrough.
Yeah. Well, when I write, as I said, I write subjectively, and I want the audience, when you're with a character, to experience what that character is experiencing. So, yes, I mean, there's this relentless drone of this other voice that you hear until about 20 some odd minutes into the movie, and then you hear Jennifer, and it's a relief. And I think you recognize why it's a relief for Michael. And in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I designed it so that you would feel what Joel felt about Clementine at the end of their relationship. And as he's erasing piece by piece, getting early in the relationship, you start to see things that you hadn't seen as an audience, that he didn't remember as a person. And you suddenly realize there's another side to their relationship. There was a history to it. And maybe your feelings of sort of, your feelings of animosity toward Clementine sort of dissipate and become close to what Joel's feeling is as he tries to stop the process. And so it's the same sort of thing. It's like, how do you put the audience into the first person? And that's what I was trying to do.
Charlie, will you fund again through Kickstarter? Did you like the process?
I mean, it got the movie made. We wouldn't have gotten it made otherwise. It got the attention of this other finance person. So it was difficult. It still is difficult. There's a lot of sort of responsibility that comes with that we have to deal with in terms of expectations of the people who donated money. And, there are a lot of them. There are 5,700 or so. So there's a lot of stuff. I would prefer not to have to do it again.
Duke, what are you going to be working on next? What can you tell us?
This press tour has been so all-consuming that I haven't had much time to specifically develop something else. I mean, I optioned a book that I'm adapting with a writing partner, and I'm reading scripts. I'm doing a music video for a band called Die Antwoord in the immediate future. But I'm still.
Who were in the science fiction movie recently.
Yes, Chappie.
Chappie, thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
My brain failed me. Yes, Chappie.
Yeah, I'm doing that for fun because I like them and they're cool. But I'm sort of taking my time to find that next
They
thing.
were kind of playing themselves in that movie.
Yeah.
It was very much their characters.
Yeah.
Cool.
Duke Johnson and Charlie Kaufman, thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Anomalisa comes out next week.